It's a show that's reminding you, you're not in charge of the bits, okay? You're in charge of the takes and the Casey Homerism. Before the show started, Nick said, "Oh, Brew.
Stop ruining
I'm
Brew.
trying out a bit.
Everything. Why does yesterday he ruined?
He is one-upping all of your bits. I think because so you don't do them.
It's the same reason he asked you before the Bud list. Who's going to be on all this stuff. He always wants to undercut our stuff.
Because I'm a lifeguard. No, you know what I am? I'm a lifeguard.
Hey,
and I see you in a riptide. Bring it in. Bring it in. Bring it in. Get out of the water right now. I go out there and get you. We start with Steelers at Ravens. Baltimore 10-point favorites, Brew, even though they split the series this year, and Lamar has traditionally struggled against the steel curtain. 2-4 as a starter, and then you look down this list, 8 touchdowns to 12 interceptions, passer rating of 73.
Is that his playoff numbers or Steelers numbers?
That's just Steelers numbers.
Well, playoff numbers are almost identical. That's crazy.
Well, this is like a double whammy.
Yeah.
Baltimore deserved to be 10-point favorites. Okay,
Why are you even showing that graphic?
Well, I think it's relevant. They're playing.
It ain't relevant anymore.
The Steelers.
Lamar got the monkey off his back. Didn't he say that? Last game, 3 touchdowns. Derrick Henry also ran for 162. But, yeah 10 points, I'm fine with it. I said yesterday they're going to win by 10 to 14 points.
Yeah, but you didn't say it with a lot of conviction.
Yeah.
No, but because here's the thing.
Matchup.
10 to 14, I guess, is technically a blowout, right?
Especially in the playoffs.
I think this will be a tough, hard-fought 10 to 14-point win. But they're going to win by 10 to 14 points. The Steelers, I respect them. The coaching, the toughness, the grit, and familiar opponent with the division. Mm-hmm. But the Ravens are going to win by 10 to 14 points, and here's why. First of all, Pittsburgh isn't very scary because they can't score. All right, the last 4 games, they lost 4 straight.
Yeah.
Averaging 16 points a game over those 4 games.
And haven't scored more than 17 in any of them.
Yeah, I mean, Russ is in those 4 games. He's at not horrible, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, but only averaging 174 yards a game. And the thing is, this is what the Steelers' offense is. Moonball. That's it. If they don't get the moon ball, they're punting. 3 and out or whatever it is. They don't have much, especially when the Ravens defense has been playing so well. And 7 games is a legitimate stretch, especially 7 against the 5 playoff teams or 5 games against playoff teams, and they're giving up 15 points a game. And then I think, like I said, Lamar and Henry played well against the Steelers in the last game. So, look, again, it's kind of like I talked. Obviously, the Steelers are way better than the Titans. But remember, I gave the Titans some respect during the season. Like, yeah, it's a team you don't like to play because they're going to beat you up.
Now
it's going to be hard. It's going to be tough.
Oh, that wasn't the best take.
No, I'm not saying they were a good team. I'm just saying there are teams that are bad that are tough and hard-nosed, and the Steelers aren't bad. But it's going to be a tough game. But at the end of it, the Ravens will have won by 10 to 14 points.
So you have 2 opposing forces here. One is the Steelers in the playoffs, which is awful.
Yeah.
And the other is Lamar in the playoffs, which has been awful. The Steelers' last 4 playoff games, it's not just that they get blown out. They start off down. The best one they had was, if you remember the Better Than a Bye Chiefs game, there was a TJ Watt strip sack to put them up 7-0. The Chiefs then scored 35 consecutive points. The other 3 games, they were down, as you can see, 21-0and or 28-0.
The worst was the Browns.
The Browns was horrifying.
I mean, the coach wasn't even there.
Right, and that one was in Pittsburgh. As the Jaguars one was awful, but they fought back in that one, if you remember, to make it close late. And then obviously at the Bills, the Bills one is the one from last year is the one you almost scratch off in that. They were on their backup quarterback, or third-string quarterback. They were truly overmatched. It wasn't the team they thought they were going to have. So that's why, a team would be a double-digit dog in what is a rivalry game, plus it's a playoff game, obviously, where the teams historically play each other. This last one, remember we had the numbers? The previous 9 games had all been decided by 4 points or less. They had all been close. The reason it's a little irrational is this graph.
So you think the take is bad?
I don't think they should be 10-point favorites. So the reason that, this is, you put up the Lamar's numbers against the Steelers, but they are shockingly similar to this, which is his numbers in the playoffs. And there's been one playoff game in Lamar's career that the team's offense clicked. It was the one against Houston. The other one is
last 2. He's only played 2 in the last 4 years.
Okay, well, if
so
you're
like most of those bad playoff games are from 4 years ago.
And one of them is the most recent one, right? The Chiefs one.
One of the 2. Was that his worst? I don't think that was. He wasn't good. He wasn't.
They scored
horrible.
10. The offense was terrible.
But he threw for 272 yards.
But it's the team
and a touchdown.
Okay, he had 2 turnovers. They scored 10 points. I think he played very poorly. I think that if you're the number 1 offense in football throughout the regular season, you scored 10 points in a home playoff game, you played very poorly. I don't care if you had 270 passing yards. And
it's a win.
Say it again?
QB wins.
Brew, you thought he played well in that game?
I thought he wasn't horrible.
He didn't play.
I don't think he was great. I don't think he was good. And I talked about that as soon as the game was over the next day. But I'm just saying
I think that if
to act like he was terrible.
I think that if you scored 10 points, the offense was terrible. That's not a quarterback wins take.
But hold on, the offense is not Lamar. He's not the only guy on offense. How about the Zay Flowers with the fumble? Is that Lamar's fault?
No, the Zay Flowers fumble's not Lamar's fault. Guys,
They would have been more than 10 points at that point. I'm just saying.
In Lamar's playoff career, they have scored 17, 12, 20, 3, 34, and 10. They scored 17 in a playoff game the year Lamar didn't play in the playoffs with Tyler Huntley. So I think it is irrational for a team that I think it would be surprising if they get to 24 points.
Really? That's not this year.
Brew, that wasn't last year until it was. Brew, that was.
He had 4 touchdowns in his first playoff game last year. It would be surprising if they scored 24 points.
I would. Yeah,
really?
I would. I don't even know. Hubs, say in my ear what the total for this game is. My guess is they are projected to score around 24 points. It's 40. It's 43.5. So Vegas is telling us they think it'll be 27-17. If it's a 10-point line and 43.5. Yeah, to me, I will be surprised. I will be surprised. We can talk about what it's going to look like in the future. I'm shocked we're relitigating Lamar's playoff history.
You said these same things before his last game against the Steelers.
And you
ripped him. He's this, he's that. He can't play against the Steelers. He gets nervous. What'd he do?
He played really well in that game. And Brew, and going into it, you know what you said? I think it's nonsense about the Steelers. Yeah. I agree with you about the playoffs. That's what you said. You said all year.
But that doesn't mean, what I agree with you on, not him being nervous, was that he's got to play better in the playoffs.
Right.
That's what I agree with you on.
Right, but now you're telling me you thought he played well against the Chiefs.
Why did I say he hadn't played well in the past in the playoffs?
What you've said is he wasn't as developed of a passer. But last year, all year long, the story was he's now developed as a passer.
Not for me. Not for me. I have said, because there were some ugly wins last year for the Ravens. What I have said is this year, he has become an elite passer. So, in the past, he's obviously elite runner, good passer, but they could stop his passing in the playoffs. This year, if he goes out and plays stinkers like he has in the past, you will be right. Whether it's nerves or not, but he will not have delivered in the playoffs. And I'll say it just like you. But right now, I'm expecting dude to ball because I got a 17-game sample recent.
But that was
recent. But you're talking about stuff that happened in 2020, 2019.
I'm talking about last season.
Against the best team in the league. Maybe the best team we've ever seen.
Right. Which is
who lit him up? What quarterback lit him up?
Nobody.
Okay.
Nobody.
So we gonna kill him. What did he do against Houston? Houston was a legit team.
And
he went berserk on them.
He had an unbelievable second half against Houston.
Well, he had 4 touchdowns. Was it all in the second half?
it was 10-10 at halftime. So I don't know. I'm not sure. I guess, no, they weren't all. 3 of the 4 were in the second half. Nobody's
121 passer rating.
Nobody's and 155 passing yards. If we're gonna really.
That's fine. They didn't need it. They won 34-7.
Right.
They
Exactly.
supposed to keep him in there to throw the ball all game?
no,
I mean, come on, man. You gonna relegate his game against Houston to a half when bruh had 4 touchdowns and a 121 passer rating.
No.
I'm just asking you to be fair.
I'm being and
Because it's fair when you rip him for not playing well in certain games.
Bro.
But that game?
Bro, you think he played great against Houston, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Even though he only had 155 passes.
Yes.
Okay.
He only
So
threw
is
it 18 times.
Exactly. Totally agree. So is it then also legitimate to say in the next round, when he did happen to throw for 270, but completed 54% of his passes and the team scored 10 points, that along that same logic, we can't say he played well because they had.
I said he wasn't. He was all right.
Okay. And I guess I
Not
see
good
it.
enough.
I
He wasn't good
see it
enough.
differently. And so the point that I am making here is I think the Ravens by all estimates should roll. But I would not be comfortable saying they're going to win by double digits like you are. I certainly would not be comfortable saying I think they're going to score in the high 20s or 30s because there's no history of it. And even this last game against the Steelers, we felt like as poorly as the Steelers played down the stretch, that game flipped on the Russell Wilson pick 6. That was a game that if we're going to play the fumble game.
They still were up.
They were up by 7 in that moment. It was, I think, either early 4th or late 3rd. That part I don't remember. And it flipped, and that's when the game got away from them. So I think this line is too big. And I think the only reason it exists at this, it's not about, I think, Vegas all of a sudden saying, you know what, this year it's different for Baltimore. What they're saying is this year is the same for Pittsburgh. That Pittsburgh is once again.
I mean, it is different for Baltimore. They got a guy named Derrick Henry. I mean, we not taking him into account? Everything you said about the playoffs doesn't include Derrick Henry. Now they got him. I think Vegas is recognizing they got a great running back now.
Okay.
Steelers season kind of went how we expected when they ran into a gauntlet of teams at the end of the year. Russ ended up losing 4 in a row. So was it just good teams that Russ ran into, or has he hit a wall and maybe opening the door for Justin Fields? Okay. Do you like the idea of a more aggressive game plan for Justin Fields?
They have to do something. And we probably didn't spend enough time because it was Saturday and then there's the coach firings. We're looking at the playoff picture. The 2-minute drill Russell Wilson ran against the Bengals Saturday night was worse than you'll see from any rookie quarterback all year. It was every wrong thing you can do as far as the check down that gets you no yards but kills you on the clock, and then the run that I still don't understand.
And they didn't even seem to realize, like the sideline didn't.
None of it was, all of it was awful.
Right.
And so I've obviously watched the Steelers. I was shocked when I saw how little Justin Fields has touched the ball. Since they went to Russell Wilson, there's been 11 games. Now, as Tomlin mentioned, he's been hurt for a few of them. He has thrown 1 pass and run the ball 7 times. He has been a part of 8 offensive plays. I'm not counting. I don't think he's done any handoffs. That wouldn't make sense. They bring him in to hand the ball off. So he has probably been on the field for 8 or 9, maybe I'm missing 1, plays since they moved on from him after the 6th game of the year. And early on, when they went to Russ, they scored 32, 37, 26, 28.
I think is why.
But correct. But now they're in this stretch, where, as Brew mentioned, it's 4 straight awful games of offense. And really, aside from the explosion against the Bengals, it's 2 months of bad offense. Yeah. They've scored 18, 19, 44, and then 27 against the Browns. Then right back 13, 17, 10, 17. So, Brew, I think it would be reckless to not see what you could get in some Justin Fields packages, because the offense is, and you're not even getting like, oh, at least Russ is being super cautious with the ball. He literally, against the Chiefs, set it on the ground without being touched. He's throwing it into traffic, even if some of that's on Pickens. So I think they have to consider significant Justin Fields.
You have nothing to lose. Like, no, they're not expected to win. All right. Now, I wouldn't go like coaches mentioned, and he'll probably talk about it later, 50-50. But I would definitely have some packages for Justin Fields. Look, at worst, it gives the Ravens something else to prepare for, right? Like they have to spend some of their time preparing for Justin Fields and whatever package they have for him. And like I said, their offense is moon ball or bust. Justin Fields can get in there and run, and do some things. He's going to play a lot differently than Russ, so the Steelers have to prepare for that. So I would try it. Again, you got nothing to lose. They're just not able to move the football.
What do you think about a Jalen Hurts Tua situation at Alabama championship game? It's like, you know what? It's just not working for you right now. I'm just going to go to the other guy, and he's going to try to win this game.
Like
put Russ.
They did that. Are you because Tua it happened at halftime?
You're talking about a full.
Are you
you're
talking
not
about
talking about packages? You're talking about.
No, I'm talking about I'm Mike Tomlin. All I do is win, and then lose poorly. Maybe it will come across as desperate, but am I going to have Russell Wilson if I see this game going the way that we all think it's going to go, like how Vegas is going to go? Am I going to end my season losing 5 games in a row with Russ? When I have Justin Fields
the
here
thing is the offense didn't look much better with Justin. Certainly not toward the end of his stretch.
Can't lose 5 games in a row to end the season. I just can't.
Well, but here's the thing with this. Don't you guys think they're losing to better teams? And unless the Ravens and Lamar do wet the bed, they're going to lose again to a better team.
That's fair.
I mean, they overachieved the beginning of the year, and now they're
the Chiefs are a better team. So on this, during this 4-game losing streak, yes. I don't know that I think the Bengals are a better team, but that game also came down to the very, you know what I mean? That game was as close as one can get. What does the opponent hope I do?
Yeah.
I would imagine the Ravens would prefer there's 0 Justin Fields in this game.
I agree.
Not again, and I'm not trying to build Justin Fields up more than he is, but just because. What is definitively true, maybe I should have said this at the front end, Lamar could have a terrible game, and the Ravens win anyway. Yeah, I don't think they win by 10 with Lamar because the defense playing well, the Derrick Henry point.
Game.
And so the Steelers need to add some variance to this game. If if the goal isn't to keep it close, if the goal is to win, then they need to add some variance to it.
And they didn't score. The first game that the Steelers won, they still didn't score a touchdown.
Yeah.
All
the 6 field goals.
Justin Tucker ate his.
Yeah, if he hits a few.
Packers at Eagles, Sunday at 4 on Fox. Eagles insider Reuben Frank says that Jalen Hurts will be a go and that no one in the organization is concerned about him missing the game. One concern, hasn't played in 21 days. Are we worried that Hurts will be rusty in his first game back?
Yeah, I expect him to be rusty.
You do?
I'm not worried because obviously I'm picking the Packers. But yeah, he's not a great passer.
You're banking on him being rusty, one could say.
He's not a great passer when he's in rhythm, right? I mean, that's not the strength of his game. He's fine. He was actually good the game after A.J. Brown was complaining. But he's not a terrific passer, so I think they're going to be out of rhythm. He hasn't been able to practice with those guys. The last thing you need is A.J. Brown in his ear talking about get me the ball.
No, I don't need
I think what they need to do is run the ball with Saquon, but also with Justin. Get him in used to the speed. I'm sorry, Jalen. With the speed of a game again and have him running, and then he'll warm up and then I think be fine throwing the football. But yeah.
So listen, before the game where they threw it a bunch and Jalen says that what you guys wanted to see, they had won 9 straight, and in those 9 games he was averaging 14 completions on 21 attempts. It was working. So I do think he'll be rusty. I think that'll be fine. I don't think
they'll throw that much.
I think that they will. This might force them back into the thing that had been working.
Yeah.
Which is not the worst thing in the world. I will also say this, and I'm sorry to hop on this hobby horse again. There is a cost to asking your quarterback to play this style. This is the 2nd straight playoffs where Jalen Hurts' health is a question going into it. Last year, he was playing through everything but playing poorly, and after the year it was like, man, he was wearing this giant brace on his leg, all of it. This year, I understand concussions we put in a separate box, which I get, except he suffered the concussion on a quarterback-driven run that is a big part of what the Eagles do, and there is a real cost to that. And it's a hard way to run a football team to ask your quarterback to take that type of punishment throughout the year. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.